up so that I can just look at you and just turn around. Okay. Turn around this way, completely around here. Okay. There's 2 injuries. What was this from? Was this from the R1 that they hit you with?
R1.
Right. Okay. Over here, what was that from?
I don't know what happened.
They hit you there as well?
Yes.
Okay. Can we have a look at your head? There seem to be some stitches in this laceration on his head.
The captain
Yes.
hit you R1 gun.
Hit you with the R1?
On the head.
On the head?
Yes.
Right. Did it stop bleeding?
Yes.
He tells us that the army arranged for him to be stitched up by a doctor at the prison that he was at. They didn't give you any injection for the pain?
No.
Jackie, I'm right that you had a lot of pain when they stitched you.
Yes.
There was nothing, there was no injection to try and relieve the pain.
Yes, there was no injection.
So in fact, it seems in a way that stitching up is being used as a form of torture. Having seen what we see daily, I don't know how anybody can claim that they stand for human rights. I think that South Africa is a place where the large majority of people lack most of what I would consider as vital human rights.
Hit me on the eye and at the back.
Can you show us your back, please?
We will have a record of those injuries. So if he ever wants to bring a case in this situation, or if he goes to lawyers and they decide to make a case out of this, we've got the documents of his injuries.
To my arm, they beat it with a baton. I don't know with what they broke, but I found it broken. But I got some marks of the thing they were using, but I can't tell it was what.
Do you have any other injuries?
I got the injury on the head. My head was swollen, and even now it's still pumping. They beat me with the back part of the gun. This long gun is the thing they used to break my head.
Although there have been independent statements by individuals from time to time, nobody ever bothered to draw all this together to get an overall picture and pattern about what was happening inside the closed doors, of course, of South African security detention. So 83% of the people that we interviewed claimed to have been physically abused in one form or another. Burning matchsticks placed under the nails, hands being cut with a knife, petrol poured over body and set alight, electric shocks of one form or another, very frequently applied to the genital areas.
And then that policeman, when he came with a small sack, put that sack on the table, he went out. Before he went out, he said, I must stand up with my hands at the back. Then I stood up with my hands at the back. Then after some time, he came in, and then he took that bag. Then he put it over my face. So I don't know, I didn't know what is going to happen. Then somebody started to beat me without questioning me, without saying anything. He started to beat me. He told me that, oh, I'm a troublemaker, and then they beat me. And then I told her that I'm not feeling well, in fact. He said, no, I don't care about you. Even if you can die, I don't care. So the best thing you can do is just to give me everything, every little information you've got. And then I said, in fact, I've told this policeman everything I know, concerning my involvement. He said, no, you didn't tell us more. And then he beat me for about an hour.
The Doris that you saw today is nothing like the Doris that we saw about 3 days after she'd been released. She was very thin, withdrawn, her cheeks were sunken. It was very difficult to communicate with her. You'd speak and she would take a long time to answer your question and sometimes never answered it properly. I'm sure that you're aware that Doris is a very intelligent girl. She's a social worker by profession. And one would expect a high level of cerebral activity when speaking to her, and in fact it was tremendously depressed.
He said I must stood up straight. Then I stood up straight with my hands at the back. Then after that, they pressed something, I don't know what was it. Then they pressed that something. After pressing that, there was a sound saying shoo. Then after that shoe, I received some electric shock from the bottom upwards. Then I screamed and jumped. Then he said, no, you are making noise, Doris. Just keep quiet. So you rather talk now because I'm going to give you the worst. Then I refused to talk that, no, this thing is painful, so I can't talk. Meanwhile, I'm receiving these things. And then he said, no, Doris, continue. Then I repeat what I've said. By that time, I was just screaming.
It's possible that the magnitude, for example, of total repression in a place like Argentina may be more severe, where we have figures like 40,000 people disappearing in a period of 8 years of military dictatorship there. But perhaps we are